What's up, guys? Welcome back to Breakout Trading. So today is Monday, May 11th, and I'm going to be going over some stuff. First off will be the TraderView stats of last week, May the 4th to May the 8th, and then a few other things after that and what I ended up doing today. So this is, I'll minimize myself here. So this is the TraderView stats. So you can see that, we didn't end up green on the week. Negative 42. In reality, it was actually negative 130 because of commissions, and I think, yeah, mostly that's probably from commissions actually, and maybe a few other things that this doesn't really track properly. I noticed that this is sometimes off, but I'll have to figure that out why. Yeah, so average winning trade 25, average losing trade 41. I did 14 total trades. My accuracy at least was more winners than losers. My largest gain was $48 on the week, and that was on, it looks like IZEA. When was that? So that was on Monday, and that was probably the day that I gave back a lot. So let's see what I did here. I kind of just bought the uptrend and sold. Okay. And my biggest loss was KLXE, a $60 loss here. So obviously trying to buy, it looks like buy a breakout of this 170 area, and I got super faked out and didn't have a tight enough stop. That's pretty brutal. Yeah, so there's not much data here, but it's a start. I'm going to keep adding to this every time I have a live week. You can see I had the 3 big red days in a row, and then 2 kind of green days to help make up for it. See, this one was actually a break-even day on Friday, so that's why the P&L's messed up, because I spent a lot on commissions today. I mean on Friday. So in reality, down 130 last week. What other stats can we look at? So it looks like I did better with a bit of the higher price stocks, though not so much of those jumpy, penny stocks. Those are some of the best trades. Market behavior. So you can see my P&L was pretty much straight down, and at the start of the week. So anyways, yeah, that's just a little look. If we go my all-time, not the best either. Go calendar here. So I had a few small green days in March. In April, these were all like $30 to $20 losers. And then here this week, actually, I had some decent little wins. And then right when I tried to put on a bit more size, on April 15th, that was a really big red day. April 16th was my #1 biggest red day, 174. So all the money I lost in this account was in 5 days. So that's kind of disheartening to know how much money you can lose in 5 days. So obviously I was doing something wrong. So that's where it leads us into what I decided to do differently this week, because I didn't want to just keep doing what I've been doing. Obviously it's not working, so I decided to change things up. First thing I did was I paused my Dash Trader subscription. So that is an extremely expensive platform. It is amazing. I absolutely love it, but it's $200 Canadian a month, and I'm not even making near that a month yet. So I figure I'm probably just going to have that on pause until I'm generating some sort of profit, because if my profit for the month goes right to data subscriptions, well, that's kind of like, what's the point? So yeah, I decided to put that on hold until further notice. I guess you can kind of just pause it, and they're like, yeah, I sent in a 1-month payment, and I asked the guy to pause it, and he was like, yeah, just tell us when you want to renew it. So yeah, and then what I did differently is today I was on Interactive Brokers again, and I'll go through that in a minute. No, actually, before I talk about the reasons why I switched and what I did good today, I'm going to go over 3 charts that I really like for a bit of a swing trade setup. So the first one here is Bitcoin. So obviously we have that halving happen, and you can see that this is the trend line I was talking about in my video that says my history as a day trader. So we had this huge diagonal trend line, and these little dotted lines are all the lower highs of each little, like, kind of monthly to weekly trend, and you can see that we got rejected pretty good here. And I was actually looking to enter into like possibly a short position, even though I don't have any Bitcoin. I'd have to buy some and then put it on an exchange. But yeah, right around here we started to stall out pretty good, and we had a big dump. And you can see that the reason I knew that that was coming was because of the RSI, stochastic, and MFI oscillator pair. So these three indicators paired are what I learned in Steve's Crypto Crew University classes, and they're extremely accurate. So you have to learn how to like read them in conjunction with one another, but essentially you can see what happened here was we were in an uptrend. RSI broke down below the uptrend level in conjunction with this stochastic, losing all momentum, dumping past the 80 level, and also the MFI was indicating an overbought area. That's what this cross of the green line means. So all three of those, where it means that the price trend was extremely tired. It was kind of like just run out of all momentum, all steam. It essentially ran up from, what is this? So it already ran up 158% from the lows of like, 3,800. So I was looking to short, and I still might look to short it again if it pops back up, but I'd want to get an entry around 10,500 if we get there, so that I can manage my risk really easily, because obviously if you go over 10,500, it will break this downtrend line, and that'll be very significant. So this one's just kind of left for now. Yeah, I missed the entry, but I don't even have any Bitcoin, so I'm not mad. And then the other one I have on watch here is CODX. So this is an all-time high for this chart. It's one of the coronavirus stocks, and its earnings is coming up on May the 13th. So that'll be on Wednesday, and you can see that it's formed this really nice ascending triangle pattern with a breakout today with really low volume. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe tomorrow it comes back down, retests that $16 level. But you can see that it's having a bit of a rally at the end of the day here. Market closes in 5 minutes, so yeah, I'm not going to like buy anything and hold overnight, but we'll look at this tomorrow. It could have some nice opportunity for a pullback long or something. And if it's hot tomorrow, it'll be hot. It's still got lots of room on the daily to move up pretty nicely. And you can see that the targeted move would be the width of this triangle. So whenever you trade patterns, it's always the target for the move is the like the size of the pattern itself. So you can see that. We could probably make it up to $26 if there's enough volume tomorrow, which would be really awesome to trade. And then the last setup I had here today was Beyond Meat, and this one's a short setup again. So you can see that we're tapping against this 135.81 level here. You can see that the reason this is a significant level is because back here in last year in the summertime, Beyond Meat had a huge run up. Let's go like this. So it had a huge run up after it had its IPO, and then topped out. That's a doji candle indicator right there for a top out. Came all the way down, and then it found support right along here, bounced up, lower high, came down again for a third time, lower high, formed a descending triangle, and broke through that. Then later on, we had a really nice indication here. So you can see that the price is trending downwards. However, the RSI was trending upwards, and that's a bullish divergence. So then that's what caused this huge pop here, and they also had some news coming out that they were going to be, putting their burgers in Denny's or something, and there's a lot of hype around it. And I still think Beyond Meat's a great a great idea company. From a technical perspective, I think it's a short right now, but overall, I think the idea of fake meat alternatives are actually gonna, do really well in this this world that we're living in. So overall bullish, short term pretty bearish. You can see that we came up here, found some pretty significant resistance from the support in summer, sold off heavy, and now the exact same thing as the Bitcoin chart. You can see RSI is extremely overextended, and then I'm just going to wait for a cross of this stochastic and watch the MFI. And yeah, it looks like it's honestly about to cross probably tomorrow. I'll try and look for a short position. Also looks like we're going to print a shooting star pattern right here. This might actually be a nice entry if I can buy some shares before close. I don't know, it's not really my style though to just kind of FOMO into stuff. Now I'm going to leave it. this video will be my remembrance if it was a good idea. I don't hold anything overnight really, but especially shorts, it is shortable. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that for now, but it looks really nice after this. It's probably gonna have a gap down tomorrow, and my target for this one, I'd use a Fibonacci retracement and probably cover everything at the 0.5 area, which is right above this critical low there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on those three. Those are three that I'm watching for tomorrow and during the whole week. And also you can see that we have a high here, a higher high, and the RSI has made a slightly lower high. So we have that RSI divergence again, the same one that played out here. So obviously Beyond Meat reacts pretty well to those RSI divergences. So that's all for those three I was looking at. This is the new layout I got going on for Interactive Brokers. So yeah, I just did a quick redesign. The reason I like Interactive Brokers fee-wise is because if I generate $20 of commissions in a whole month, which is pretty easy, you don't have to take that many trades to do that at all. All this is $5 a month to subscribe to, compared to $200 a month for DAS Trader. So that's pretty appealing. The tape is completely useless. The level 2 is alright, but mostly you're going to be trading chart patterns, and that was, part of the reason why I switched over is because I really like reading the tape and the level 2 for those tight scalp trade breakouts, but what I wanted to do is take a step back and have a bit more of a slower approach. So I've been trying to trade that super fast, high-paced scalping style, and it just hasn't been working for me. So what I decided to do is I made a bit of a plan or a system to trade only these setups that I am very familiar with and that I've seen the best results with over time. And those setups are consolidation patterns, so flag patterns, bull flags, bear flags. Both of those patterns I have extremely good history with, and I know how to trade them well, and I just find that they're really reliable. They're easy to read the breakout, and yeah, and then also the washout long strategy. So for example, I just randomly saw this on CODX, but every time there's a nice uptrend, let's see if we can zoom in a bit more here. So this would be a washout long here. This is a perfect example. So we have a nice uptrend. All of a sudden, a huge seller comes into the market and washes the price way down, and then you can usually long at the bottom here for a little bounce up. Those are really reliable. So that was consolidation or a continuation pattern. Sorry, not consolidation, continuation patterns. Other reversal patterns that I play are the parabolic counter trend play. So I learned that from this guy on YouTube called Trader AD. So let's see. So these are screenshots that I'm going to start doing of every pattern I see and how it played out. So we were just talking about the bull flag. So here's a 1-minute bull flag pattern. Looks a bit better if you just have it zoomed out, actually. Yeah, let's just zoom it out like that. Hopefully that's easy enough to see. Can't really do anything in between 100 and 200%. There we go. Okay, so this is on UAVS, which actually ended up having a really huge run today. So actually, first let's just take a look at the whole chart of UAVS. So this is what I'm trying to identify here. So yeah, big ripper today. Where this pattern was at, looks like it was at big run up. It was at 11 a.m. So right here is where I noticed, and then it came down a bunch, and I was looking for like a continuation off that, but you can see that it doesn't really form that good of a flag pattern. Kind of just sold off way too much, and then it bounced a bit during the end of the day, but the pattern itself was invalidated. So let's see possibly why. So the reason that I initially looked at this was because we had a nice run up, and then we have a top out here, which is indicated by some bit of an apex of volume, 2 big red candles on the 1 minute there, and then we have a successive lower highs, and it kind of you know, just forms into this this is more of a falling wedge than a flag. And then you can see that the volume pattern goes way down as this thing's kind of consolidating. You can see that up here the price range is much bigger than the price range down here, so it's just, you know, squeezing itself into this wedge. And the idea with the falling wedge is that it's already going down, there's already sellers, and eventually those sellers are going to get tired, especially somewhere, for example, VWAP, and the buyers are going to want to step in to hit that bounce. So for instance, that's exactly what happened here. We hit VWAP right up to a T, and then we broke that downtrend line. And the reason I took a screenshot was because this would have been my entry right here, and my stop loss would have been probably below the low and VWAP here. So I would have been risking about 10 cents if my stop loss was at 140 and I was aiming for 150. And for a 3-to-1 ratio, that would have been aiming for a 30-cent gain. So I would have wanted to see a break above this high here, sell into that. So that would have been a really good trade if that's the way it played out, which it did not, but I'll show you that in a minute. So another reason too is you can see kind of there's this high, this high, this high, lower highs, and then a key thing for this is that it had to break past the 152 level, which is this high, for it to make any sort of higher high, probably pull back. Like if you can break above that, pull back to 152, that would have been a good place to buy. And then you can sell as these lines become resistance. So another thing is that even though we had a little bit of a green volume, the volume is really low compared to the initial run up. So that was another red flag as to maybe this thing's not going to work. So the way that turned out was it was invalidated. So you can see here that after it broke out, it was unable to get above that high of 152, which was that previous high within the wedge. And you can see it actually acted as some pretty good resistance, and there's even a pretty clear doji candle here where we had one attempt to break through, immediately rejected by the sellers, and then we continued to sell off. We had a bit of support on VWAP, but it just broke below, and at this point that whole pattern is invalidated. And you can see that overall the volume just really wasn't there for this thing to work out. So that was the first pattern I identified today. And today I was just focusing on identifying these patterns and not FOMOing in, because a huge thing, I record every one of my sessions and I watch them over and see the things I've done wrong to improve. And on Friday I was just throwing darts at a board, just eyes closed, just whipping for the bullseye. And now this week and continuing on, I want to be more like a sniper in the grass, you know, like a lion stalking its prey. You just gotta wait for the perfect moment to strike. Big size, big risk, big reward, and the odds of you having a winning trade when you wait for the perfect setup, you see everything come together, are pretty good. And you know, the way I traded before is that it would be the market open and I'd be like, oh my god, I only have an hour to trade because the morning's the best time to trade. But that's not the right way to think, because then you're just forcing trades for an hour. You're probably losing a bunch of money, and for what, you know? So today I just said I'm gonna eat some breakfast, I'm gonna watch some like YouTube, I'm gonna just hang out at my trading setup and see if an opportunity presents itself, and you know, which it did not really. So this was another trade I had, and this is one of the reversal patterns. So this goes into this is called a counter trend parabolic play. So the idea of this one is that there's a stock, you know, running up a lot. So you can see that ever since the open right here, this thing has ran from 120 to 184. So it almost 100% move in like a couple hours. So it would probably need a pretty decent correction, and you can see that how far it's getting from that 21 EMA and the VWAP. So my eye was on this nice whole number of 150 for it to come back down to, and I noticed that as this thing, the volume was kind of increasing, and what it had is you want to look for this type of strategy to work out. You want to look for a big kind of like an apex, and I think that the doji candles at the top always just kind of look like a big middle finger right here. This is the doji candle. It's kind of like a big middle finger that the trend has ended, and you can also see that there's that apex in volume there. So that's why I screenshotted it at this point, and I said I would probably enter here. with a stop loss somewhere around 180 or even above the high at 184. So that would be about another 10-cent stop loss. For that to be a 3-to-1 ratio, you'd want your buys to be around 150 and 140. So we can see how this one plays out. So it ended up working pretty well. You can see that this was that doji candle with the apex of volume, and then you can see we kind of sold off. Didn't quite touch VWAP, but we had a decent sell-off. Got caught at that 21 EMA, and I noticed that we fell to kind of like the resistance of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 4 kind of 5-minute candles here, we fell to that support. Here's the first wick, bounce, and then you come back down again. So it was a pretty good trade. You would have got, so if you entered in that level at what I was at, 173, it went down to, you had 2 chances here to sell at 160, so about a 10-cent move, not the best one in the world, but there really wasn't much opportunity today, so this was honestly one of the better ones, and then I think it continued ripping up and then kind of just moved sideways for the rest of the day. Mark where that one was, right? Yeah, so that was that middle finger again. Kind of sold off and then we rallied, but we never really got above that 184 level with any sort of significance again. This one might be on you know, some sort of watch tomorrow too. You can see how good the daily looks. So this 184 level is just for the intraday. So let's actually get rid of that for now and just look at the daily. We can see that this thing's been having a really big run up. This thing was 50 cents at the start of May, and now it's almost at $2. So it's pretty overextended, honestly. We'll have to see if this thing has any more juice in it. But from a technical perspective, it technically, if it can break $2, could possibly run up to 338, which is the top of this candle here in March of last year. That's what I was looking at. I was like, this thing could possibly go on a huge run right now, but it didn't. The market was slow today, so it makes sense that it was also a bit slow. And then I think there was one more setup that I saw. Maybe this was the flat top breakout on Mark. So I saw this forming here after that bit of a sell-off, the one we were just talking about. It curls back up, and at this point, you know, shorts are probably having to cover. It ends up making, you know, all these multiple flat tops here, and then it had a breakout above right here, a little bitty increase in volume there. And this is one of the patterns I love to trade, which is called the ascending triangle. It's where there's a big move up, it kind of wedges itself into this this movement, and then as soon as this top level breaks, it goes on a huge run. So this one, yeah, it looks pretty alright. That's why I screenshotted it. Potential move. And then this is what ended up happening. So another thing I learned from that guy, Trader AD, shout out if you're watching this, is he uses the SPY a lot, the 1 minute chart. He calls it the wind, and I really like that because that is so accurate. So you can actually, everybody that's trading the markets is always watching the SPY, so you can use that to your advantage and to save your ass sometimes. So you can see in this instance at about 1400, right when this thing kind of attempted to break out. This is like right after it broke out there. You're not missing anything. You know, it never got above $2, so that's already a red flag. Kind of topping out here. There was really no volume on the breakout. I don't think it had enough time to kind of coil and get enough people to watch it for that big snap break. It kind of did it, and then it was like, oh, it doesn't have much momentum behind it. The things ran up from 50 cents a few days ago. You know, it didn't seem like the best one. And then what happened here was at 1400, you can see the SPY took a huge tumble down, and coincidentally, at 1400, also this thing took a huge dump down below that flat top level that we were watching. And immediately, if it does something bearish like that, you can see the biggest candle on the breakout was a red one. That's pretty much invalidated right there. So yeah, and then this one I just say that it has room up to that that $3 mark that we were talking about, which is the high here. So we'll watch that for tomorrow. It could actually possibly go up there if there's enough buyers. This one I'm just testing out one of my little indicators here to see what happens on Interactive Brokers after it says after earnings is released. See what this says. So yeah, that's it for today. That's pretty much all we saw. The new platform's nice. I just put in this order, cancel it right away just to see what this order entry panels look like. But I really like this layout. You know, I got news here, little description of the stocks. I like my double trading screen, these useless time and sales, and the all right level 2s. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'll see if there's any more setups tomorrow. I'm gonna start formulating a bit more of a professional, structured looking layout for my new strategy that I'm gonna start implementing, which is that you don't have to trade every single trade you're doing all day in the first 5 seconds of the day. You can take a break. I felt really good today, just like, you know, chilling, eating breakfast. I wasn't stressed if I missed anything. I wasn't gonna be stressing out, you know, if anything was going crazy. And you can think a lot clearer too, like, and just being patient and waiting for it to break out, not hopping in and then just seeing what it does. You know, it saved me a lot of money today. I would have lost, you know, probably 50, 60 bucks taking those trades, and I know for one the market's not hot right now. Let me move this down. I know the market's not hot, so maybe I'll get into Dash Trader once the market's, you know, moving again. But we haven't really had any big runners last week or even really the week before, so momentum's kind of dying off into the summer and after that whole Corona hype phase. So I'm just gonna lay low for a bit, keep grinding my grind, and keep, you know, tracking these statistics here for my setups that I like. So I'll keep you guys updated. That's it for today. Adios.